Right now on Tech Radio, it's our Christmas toy show.
Hi, I'm Artemis. I am a computer-generated AI voice, and you're listening to Tech Radio.
Every week online and on air with RT Radio, we bring you the very latest in tech from Ireland and across the world. And this week, we are giving you our favourite show of the entire year, looking at all of the tech toys worth wanting from Santa, from computers to gadgets and all points in between. So let's get straight to it.
From TechCentral.ie, this is Tech Radio with Dusty Rhodes and Niall Kitson.
I'm Santa Dusty, and joining me as always is our editor-in-chief, Santa Niall. How are you?
Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho. Are you all ready?
Ho, ho. I think I'm going to be demoted to elf this year.
Why?
I'm a little bit of a sad character because I went around and I had a look at what's out there, and there's some fantastic stuff we're going to talk about later. But I was thinking about, things that get left out of the festive season. And over the last few weeks and months, we've had a little bit of a hobby horse on sustainability. And sure, last week we were talking about the WE survey, which found that a minority of electrical goods of e-waste is actually being recycled. A lot of it is going to waste. So I went and I put my thinking cap on, and largely I'm going vintage this year. I'm going pre-loved. So you can have the new and shiny. I'm going to think about other things that you can get. And some things are really cool.
How very... I like this. So pre-loved for Niall, shiny and new for Dusty. And then also I noticed, kind of looking over all the things that we have lined up to talk about, is that we're kind of working on the same things that just happened by accident, but we're coming at them with different options and different opinions, which is always good as well. So listen, what do you want to start off with?
Yeah, let me start with just to extend on that pre-loved idea. I think Amazon has a pre-loved store. If you're into clothes, I gather Penny's has a pre-loved section now as well. If you're around one of the big cities, I think in years gone by it was head shops. Now it's vintage clothes seem to have taken over all the vacant retail space. But the main chains, if you're looking at CEX, if you're looking at Swappy, Back Market, Refurbed. I don't know if there's another one that I missed there, but those would be the main ones, I think, especially for devices that don't need to do that much. So if you're somebody that is reliant on cutting edge features and that sort of thing and figuring out what to do with stuff, that's fine. But for me, if you're looking for something really basic, this is, just go pre-loved. Don't bother with buying something new. If you want an e-reader that is just words on a page, that's all you want in life, have a look at pre-loved.
I never mind pre-loved. Another place that I recommend that you look at is on Amazon, because quite often Amazon get these returns back, and what they do is they put them back on the market, as it were, as secondhand, pre-loved, whatever you want to call it, at a cheaper price. And I've bought a number of things that way and saved considerably on it. In a good way. And when you get it, it's like, somebody's obviously opened it, or the packaging is battered or whatever. I mean, just forget about the box or the packaging. But the actual thing, what it is something that somebody looked at and went, not for me, sent it back. It's never used. It's not even secondhand. Do you know what I mean? It's opened. That's the way that I look at it. So, and I've done that with the e-reader. Sorry, just that you mentioned the e-readers. What Amazon do is they take back the Kindles and they keep the insides, but repackage the outsides. So when you're getting a refurbished Kindle, you're actually getting almost a brand new Kindle. You would not know because you can't see the insides.
Interesting. And like the last thing that I got that was pre-loved, it was in its original packaging. The only way you would discover that it was secondhand would be there was a nick on the packaging and the actual age of the device itself. But I mean, it was even in its original, paper protective stuff, that's how well you can do. But anyway, look, that's overhanging what I'm going to talk about. You're a bit more high end than me. Anyway, nobody can see what I'm wearing at the moment, but it's all secondhand. So, I'm living it.
Well, it's not like what I'm wearing at the moment is anything special. But anyways, but listen, I'll tell you something shining in you that I did pick up in the last 2-3 weeks. And I highly recommend, even though I hate it, I highly recommend it. Okay. And that is the new Mac Mini M4. I'll tell you why this makes an amazing Christmas present. Okay. Because it is one of the most powerful, fast computers that you can get today. All right. It's up there with the highest of all the high-end laptops. It's up there with all the high-end desktops. It's 700 quid. 700 quid. You can comfortably, and I do, comfortably edit video on this. No problem. Okay. Most people are going to be doing, a bit of surfing or watching YouTube or doing documents or blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. Nothing too heavy, watching some movies or whatever. That's kind of my thing is like, if you're multi-track editing a big video file and the computer is able to handle it with ease, which this can, then you've got a fast computer that is going to last you. I'm going to be a bitch now. It's going to last you until Apple decides they're not going to support it anymore. All right.
7 years then.
7 years. Well, we'll see. I know that's the EU rule, but I don't trust them. However, that said, yes, it's small, it's quiet, it's powerful. It's the best desktop computer that I think you can do there at the moment. I don't think you can do better. 730 quid. They do have options where you can upgrade the RAM, you can upgrade the size of the hard drive, you can upgrade it. Don't go for any of that. It's a complete ripoff. All right. The basic system comes with 16 gigs of RAM standard, which is a huge improvement. M4 processor, which is fine, and also with 256 gigs of hard drive space. And unless, as I say, even at that, lots of people use external drives as they're doing video editing and stuff like that. So you've got everything in there. The only thing is that the Apple's head of fecking things up, and I'm sure that they have a head of fecking things up in Apple. This is the person who designed the charging port on the mouse underneath. Brilliant. Right. What the butterfly keyboard would be another, highlight of this person's career. Removing the headphone jack from the phones, another highlight of the head of fecking it up at Apple. This time around with the Mac 4 M4 Mini is that they have put the power button on the bottom of the machine.
That's weird.
You literally have to pick the machine up to turn it on or to turn it off.
Yeah, that's nuts.
But
and
all of that
if
said,
we can say, you will pick up a fantastic bargain on a keyboard and a monitor if you buy them pre-loved. Because that's how Apple save money on stuff. Here's just the machine, and we've seen little standalone things for forever. But there you go. Just buy the keyboard and monitor of your choice, pre-loved, and save yourself a packet.
Now, this is what I do, all right, with that Mac Mini M4, okay, because you do have to supply your own monitor. The monitor that I recommend is going for the ultra-wide monitor, all right, which is basically... it's a massively wide screen. It's like 34 inches wide or something like that, but just once you do it, if you're using the ability to have two windows open at the same time, so you can have a full web browser open on the left-hand side and a full Word document over on the right-hand side, and to be doing your thing and to do it all on one screen is amazing. And they're not that expensive in that I've seen a few. And there was a lot of Black Friday stuff that's been going around the last couple of weeks and stuff like that. But I would budget in around €350 for a big 34-inch ultra-wide monitor.
As opposed to just buying two separate.
Oh, God, don't buy two separate ones. Oh, no. It looks awful. Get the one unit, all right? And then the other thing I was going to say is that there are fake Apple keyboards, which you can buy online, and they're only 30 quid or something like that.
Same mechanism on them, the same key travel.
Yeah, they're effectively the same, except instead of being made out of aluminium like an Apple keyboard would, these are more made out of hard plastic.
Yeah. Okay.
But there you go. For $1,000, you've got a super, super fast computer. You've got a mega ultra wide 34-inch monitor, and off you go.
Now, you are also a fan of curved monitors for a while.
I still am. And I couldn't tell you whether they're any good or not, but I just like them.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Just tell me the curve isn't. I have one here in front of me, and I can't say that the curve is like so massive that it's noticeable. I think you want to get one of the 48-inch monitors where you really see the curve on it.
Oh goodness! I mean, your eyes would go. I mean, that's it.
Like, well, I'm willing to give it a shot.
Like a 32-inch monitor. I mean, for me, that's something. That's, I mean, that's a TV. That's the size of my television.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be too into that. But hey, if you're doing an awful lot of multimedia work and you're dragging in an awful lot of sources, yeah.
Listen, I have 3-4 different programs open all the time. And do you know what the way things are at the moment is that you're usually using 3 or 4 different websites at the same time. So instead of flipping through tabs, you can actually have them open in different individual windows. Anyway, that's my toppity top. If you want to have kind of the latest shiny toy for under $1,000, go for the M4 with an ultra wide monitor. All right. Your turn, okay. Santa Nile.
My turn. Okay. We mentioned this last year, so I'm going to do a slight extension on it this year because the advice still holds. Get yourself a subscription to a VPN.
Oh, God, yeah.
They start out super cheap. You will get, something like a year. Sometimes they might go, 2 years for, and you end up getting a really, really good deal on them. And they're all more or less the same. I mean, I'm going to throw out a couple of names, but I mean, Surfshark and NordVPN come to mind immediately. But seriously, if you're to do Google for VPN services, I think they're all largely the same. Now, why would you use one? Well, not only do they protect your privacy, which in itself is pretty good, because we should all be more sensitive to our privacy these days. They will also let you take on a bunch of streaming services that you might not be able to over here in Ireland. So with that in mind, the top streaming service that you cannot get in Ireland is Criterion. Criterion, massive art house studio with an incredible back catalogue. So this is their digital version. I can't remember offhand what the subscription is. It is a subscription service, but their back catalogue is just so huge and vast that it's the kind of thing you can get lost in. In general, without need for a VPN, I would also mention Shudder. I think this is available to everyone. There's another one called Midnight Pulp, which is all for B movies and whatnot. I will say, midnight for a reason, so maybe not have granny about the place when you decide you want to watch something a little bit dodgy from the 70s.
Kids.
Or kids.
It's not safe
kids.
for home. That's what you're saying.
No. Now, on the subject of saving yourself a little bit of money, if you are looking for a different streaming service because you've run out of Netflix or you've run out of Disney or whatever, or you've run out of cash, there is a service called Canopy. It's Kanopy. And this is effectively the video section of your public library. Not available anywhere. It's available in Dublin. Just check to see if it's available in your county. This service is funded by libraries. And in the same way that you can ask your library to get in a DVD so you can borrow it, this is the streaming equivalent, right? So it's got a pretty large catalogue. It's all free. And all you need is the last few digits of your public library card and a PIN. You ring up your library and go, here's my, number. Can you give me a PIN so I can sign up to Canopy?
Okay.
There you go.
Is this Irish, is it?
It's an international effort.
Okay.
Dublin Public Libraries happen to be a part of it. So in the same way that you might have services like BorrowBox or Libby, this is sort of that ilk.
Okay, good tip. I like the VPN, not for the movie services, but I use it for accessing BBC iPlayer and ITV. So definitely highly recommended there as well. Shall we move on to phones?
Let's move on to phones. You've got your favorites, so you start.
Do you know, myself and my good lady wife were just talking about phones. We were just kind of going, like, they haven't changed that much really in the last couple of years. And she's like, she doesn't care. All right. She's like, great. I've got Facebook. I've got Instagram. I've got my maps. And I've got my email. What more do I need? All right. And she says anytime she's had a new phone, it's been the same shape. And she touches it and there's no real difference. I thought that's kind of interesting. Whereas for me, I'm a gadget guy. I have to have the latest. And it's kind of like I was thinking, if I had all the money in the world, what phone would I go for? And it'll probably be no surprise to hear that it'd be the Samsung Galaxy Fold.
You'd go with the Fold. Interesting.
I would, yeah.
Not the Flip.
I want to try it. The Flip, no. Flip is like you're on Star Trek or something like that. Ooh, Flip. Beam me up, Scotty. No, the Fold. The Fold is for men, Niall.
Okay. Okay. Apologies to our female listeners.
Indeed. I like the Fold because when it came out first, it was like having two phones together. And then you would open it up, all right? But whatever way they've worked on it now, when I've seen it, it's kind of like my phone would be, it's a regular whatever phone. It'd be about 200 grams or thereabouts, all right? And I know that the Galaxy Fold 6 is 240 grams. So it's not that much heavier. And it's not that much thicker. And it's the same size as a regular smartphone, but you have the advantage of being able to open it up. And I'm like, I think I'd like to try that. And then, of course, you get all the photo editing, the AI. If you have the pen's an extra 50 quid or something like that. And you can actually start using it to its maximum. I've no need or any particular reason for wanting to do it other than I just want to try it out, like, you know. So when I was researching for our toy show today, I had a look on Vodafone and I saw it. The price was the thing that was putting me off, right? I saw it on Vodafone for €1,000, just over €1,000. And I went, whoa.
That's spicy.
Maybe, this is going to be the Christmas present that the company gets for me. So I clicked on and I wanted to find out more. And basically with Vodafone, that's €1,000, but you also have to buy a €80 a month plan for the next 2 years.
They will only say an €80 plan. They won't give you the option.
There's options, but if you want to pay just $1,000 for the phone, you have to do it by signing up for their 80 quid a month plan for the next 2 years, which 80 multiplied by 24 is €2,000. So I went, right, well, I won't be doing that. So I had a look on the Samsung website and around a load of other places, and the more regular price is $2,000. And I'm just kind of going, I'm not spending $2,000 on a phone. I don't care unless I win the lottery and I've got $1 million in my bank account.
Yeah,
I think it's too much.
You know, the only reason to get a new phone is for the AI options. That's the new thing. Why would you get this year's iPhone? Because Apple Intelligence is on the way. not in the EU just yet, but it's on the way. You can be fairly sure of that. Why would you get a recent Android phone? Well, Gemini. That's it. I mean, this is the new benchmark. And if you decide, well, I can live without AI for a few years, well, then maybe buying a new phone isn't really necessary at the moment. Which brings me to my suggestions.
Go on.
Unless you've got something else. Have you got something else in your stocking?
No.
Okay. I got three. And I'm first of all going to mention my iPhone pick of this year. And it's a pre-loved price on an iPhone 14. So it's only 2 years old, a couple of years old, not very old at all. €450. That's not bad.
That's very good. Yeah.
That's very reasonable.
A recent and a very high standard smartphone.
Yep. And, you know, if you look at the likes of, I think it is, I can't remember which one now, but any of the whether it's Swappy or Back Market or whatever, they do extensive testing before they will put something back on the market. So don't worry about, the battery life, or don't worry about the screen quality. Everything has been fixed before it goes back on. The only thing that is going to go against you on it is, I think some of them will say, we'll take something in so long as the battery is 80% of, top.
Yeah.
Reasonable. And I think that's their starting point, and I think they can restore it or replace it. But yeah, €450 for an iPhone 14. That's not a bad place to start. The Google Pixel 9 Pro, not out a long time at all. Regularly breaks the €1,000 mark. You can get one pre-loved for just under 1,000. Now, that's this year's phone. And you can already get a reasonable discount on it pre-loved. So you seem unconvinced on that.
I don't mind spending $1,000, but do I want to spend $1,000 on a secondhand phone or pre-loved phone? I know the pre-loved phone. I've bought pre-loved phones, okay? And I know that they come in perfect condition and the battery in them is good. And when you turn them on, it's like getting a brand new phone and stuff like that. And that's fine for me if I'm spending £300 on the phone. All right.
Yeah.
But for $1,000,
yeah,
it's just me.
Okay. Well, here I'm going to break with what I've been talking about. And if you have a creator in your life and someone like yourself, you're a media professional, you get good use out of a good camera and a good microphone. Have a look at the Sony Xperia 1 6. Now, this is not a cheap phone. This is €1,500, right?
Ooh,
but this has been developed with creators in mind. And the thing with Sony is that they kind of bubble under with their smartphone business. They actually make very good phones. It just so happens that Apple and Samsung have the mind share out in the market.
Yeah.
If you look at what the market is like in China, there's loads of brands that are just, like Xiaomi and Honor and things like that. And, they're just bubbling around. They do very, very well. It's a split market, unfortunately, because of it. So those brands don't, as we say, we don't look forward to seeing, what's the new Xiaomi, because, it doesn't have that same brand resonance over here. But Sony actually make very good phones. It just so happens that, there's nobody gets up in the morning and thinks, hey, I'm going to Sony myself up with a new smartphone. But hey, if you're a creator, the 1 6, it's there for you. It's got a good camera. It's got a good microphone. It's designed for people that are going around streaming things or recording things for video. Very good for media professionals if that's your jam. If you can, if you've got a business that relies on high quality media, that's probably your thing. If you don't want to go the iPhone route.
Let's move on to music and earbuds and AirPods and and so on and so forth. I would have thought you'd gone down the Apple route on this, but you haven't.
I haven't, because I saw that you have.
So I was wondering why.
Yeah.
I've actually kind of gone for the AirPods. Now I like Bluetooth headphones because they sound great.
In certain cases,
they are convenient because they don't have the wires, but then also that brings inconvenience. Because with wired headphones, you literally just put them in your ear, stick them in your phone, and then off you go. Whereas you've got all the Bluetooth pairing and all that kind of stuff. And the thing that drives me nuts at the moment with Bluetooth pairing is that my phone wants to pair with like 3 different devices at the same time around the house.
Yeah.
It's like which one is which, But the Apple AirPods have got great sound. They've got noise cancellation built in, which is world leading. What I think is the most interesting is that they've got They're building this kind of hearing protection to protect your ears from loud noises, which sounds kind of a little bit strange because you're meant to be blaring music right into your ear hole. But one of the things is it's hearing protection, but they also do a hearing test. And I believe that it will not be too long before Apple AirPods will be actual hearing aids.
Yeah.
So we will see, especially. When you think about these things, like, you know, and all of them, the ones you're going to talk about now in a second, all right, they all have a little microprocessor in them that's doing just amazing things, like, you know, kind of the noise cancellation. Or one thing the AirPods will do is it will recognize if somebody is speaking with you, and then it'll lower the volume of the music. Which saves you having to take them out of your ear. It's kind of like, whatever. The only thing I'm not mad about them is they've got 4 hours listen time. I would have thought it would be longer. And especially there's only 30 hours charge in the case. And you definitely get much longer with other people. But there you go. 200 quid, AirPods are yours.
Just remember, the power time that is quoted will often be inclusive of the case, which is the second charge. So make sure you check the charge in your earbuds and the split between the earbuds and the case.
For music, what are you going for?
Yeah, I've picked out 2 things. Now, I will always have a lot of love for Bose and Sennheiser as brands. I think they're pretty good benchmarks.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm mentioning 2 here, and in a sense, I'm repeating brands, but I'm taking them just as examples of what can be done. Now, when it comes to AirPods or true wireless earbuds, there seems to be 3 design choices now. You've got the ones that sit into your ear canal, like the ones that I'm wearing, like the AirPods. Mm-hmm. They're the ones that are, I call them twist and shout. It's like you twist them into your ear canal, and you hope that they're not too loud when you switch them on. And then there's a third kind, which have a kind of a lip on them or a wing, which sort of, it's not as intrusive as the twisty ones. Now, you've talked about AirPods, which is the ones that sit in. That's fine. Oppo do a version of that using that design as well. For the twisty ones, Sennheiser and Bose use that, and also Samsung would be pretty good examples. I'm going to mention the Sony WF-1000XM5, which is kind of, I know, trips off the tongue, but they come for about €230 new, and this is their apparently out and about earbuds. So these are meant to be, you know, for the gym, for your run, that kind of thing. So they kind of pride themselves on a snug fit. I don't know, I'm never fully convinced when somebody says, yeah, you can wear these to the gym. I'm like, I don't want to spend half my time looking under a treadmill because I know they'll fall out. Yeah. But that's there. And, you know, the second one that I want to recommend, which you can get pre-loved for €210, is the Google Buds Pro, the Google Pixel Buds Pro 2, which have Gemini built in, if that's what you want. And what links both of them is the excellent noise cancellation. Personally, I find the Google option more comfortable for my ears. I'm sure the Sony ones will have a lot of adherence as well. One thing I'm finding when it comes to true wireless is that some people's ears just take some designs better than others. So it's a good chance to find out, you know, okay, what actually sort of fits my ears and is comfortable to me, because, you know, not all designs are equal for everybody.
Sticking those earbuds or AirPods into your ear is quite a personal thing, because essentially it is going into your body. And the reason I say this is because you've been talking a lot about pre-loved. Do you really want to buy a set of earpods or earbuds that have been in somebody else's ear and then plug them into yours?
Good question, and a fair one. A couple of months ago, I found myself in the market for a set of cans because my preferred thing is I do like a full set of headphones, nice big set of cans on my head. That's my jam. And I went looking and I found a set that were in tip-top condition that were about €100 cheaper than off the shelf, and it was last year's model. So still pretty good, pretty current. And not evidence of being used, but because it was where it was, it had been. So I was like, I'll take a punt and I'll see how I feel about it. And I bought them, popped them straight on my head, and off I went. And I haven't thought about them being pre-loved since. I understand what you're saying with when it comes to earbuds. Now, these things do not get taken off the shelf and put back on again. I mean, they are cleaned and cleaned to an important standard of hygiene. And if you're worried, by all means, get yourself some alcohol wipes and give them a good wipe down before you use them. Hey, it was good enough for during COVID. So if that's something that is a concern to you, still absolutely do it.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be into it. But anyways, listen, let's move on. Christmas, of course, Christmas markets are a big thing and a lot of homemade crafts and stuff like that. And it's interesting that you and I both were kind of homemade, crafty kind of things. I had down as a toy that I would like to play with, and actually, this might be something that I might ask Santa for, a Kodak Mini 2 Retro. All right. And what it is it's a photo printer. I like the thought of this. Okay. So you take a photo with your, a smartphone for you and I. For more professional people, I've seen people, what they do, street photographers, and they will have their camera. All right. And then they're able to move the picture from a camera onto their smartphone or a tablet, and then they do the editing on the tablet, and then they send it via Bluetooth to this Kodak Mini 2 Retro printer. All right. Yeah. And the printer will actually print it out there and then for you. A bit like a Polaroid camera, except it's kind of a digital version and stuff like that. It looks interesting, or maybe it's just an interesting toy, or maybe maybe be one of those things where I'll play with it for a day and then never go with it again. But apparently the quality of the print is very good. The good thing about this Kodak Mini 2 Retro is that it comes with 70 sheets, so you can print off 70 pictures straight out of the box. The size of the photos is a little bit on the small side. They're kind of more credit card size more than anything else. And Kodak proudly boasts that the print will last 100 years. Wow. Now, how the hell they know this? I have no idea.
and who's going to pull them up on it?
Who's going to test it? Yeah, exactly. But it's under £100. So it's kind of like, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a nice one. Bit arts and crafty, if you like. What did you have on yours?
Yeah. Well, one thing that young people like myself, when it comes to a certain time in the afternoon when families have had their dinner and they're feeling a little bit sleepy and maybe their tempers are getting a little bit short with each other, the parental impetus is always just go play with something. Go over there. Santa gave you lots of stuff. Just go play with it. Yeah. Get out of my face.
Get out the Scalextrics is what you're talking about.
Exactly,
go on.
Yeah. So however, as you get a little bit older, that you still have that impulse. You still have the, if you're not particularly creative, you still like making things. So I suggest getting musical in a virtual sense, right? So I would suggest if somebody has a reasonable enough computer and likes a bit of percussion, have a look at the Cherry 78 drum machine. It's a virtual drum machine. It's €50. Go download it, have a look, play drum machine for a little while, make some beats. What's the worst thing that can happen? It'll certainly add a few chuckles to your life. If you have ever wanted to play the drums, and I know a lot of people want to play the drums, but just not possible through space or cost or whatever, so get yourself a drum machine. I have a version of a Roland 808. It was Roland that made the 808, wasn't it?
Go on.
I've got a version of it on my iPad, which is great fun. I dip into it every now and again. So the Cherry apparently very well regarded as well. So I would start with that. Now, I mean, if you are somebody that plays an instrument, maybe you would like an amp modeler, because again, we've got space, we've got money constraints. Why not find out what it's like to play through a giant Marshall stack or a Vox or an Orange or something like that? Things that you wouldn't really get to do outside of a showroom, because, hey, these things are expensive. So get yourself an amp modeler, right? Virtual, pretty cost effective as well. Yeah. You can get a basic guitar amp modeler called Amplitude 5, seems to be the standard, for €55. There is an awful lot of plugins that you can get for it in terms of effects pedals and that kind of thing. So if you want to make yourself some shoegazy noise with loads of effects pedals, go and get yourself an amp modeler and get some plugins and go play away in the corner with your headphones on.
I'm amazed to hear you talking about those things, because these are VST plugins usually for workstations or recording things. You really want to know your stuff. But then again, that's the whole point of playing with the darn thing, isn't it? I suppose I've seen musicians do that, where they will have an electric guitar plugged into the computer, and then they will put it through all the various different amp modelers, and the difference in sound is quite stunning.
Yeah. One thing you might need is a USB interface, which you can get quite cheaply as well for about €90.
Listen, if somebody's buying Amplitude, they already have one, all right? that's the way I look at it. That's the way I look at it. Okay, so let's go make something. Another thing that we both had on our list was e-readers. You have you not gone for the Amazon because I have?
Exactly.
All right, okay, go on.
And we all know my story that I got a Kindle for €50 pre-loved, and it is one of the best purchases I've made pre-loved.
Yeah.
So you have a different perspective. So what's your choice?
Well, no, I'm exactly the same as you, because I like reading and that's it. And I just got a 50 quid Kindle, and it wasn't pre-loved, it was a refurbished one. So that's what I'm saying, directly from Amazon. But I bought my wife an Amazon Scribe last year, or I think the year before. All right. She's not a huge technical person. She has taken to this like a duck to water. All right. So she's a writer and she's a reader, and she loves this. The difference with the Amazon Scribe over all the other tablets is you can write on it. Okay. It's big. It's got a big 10-inch screen on it. It's got long battery life. You can open up PDFs and make notes on the PDFs, and it'll save it, or you can just use it as you would a notepad and pen. It's quite stunning what it can do. And then of course you can change things, or you can move things around on the page. I mean, she's gone levels ahead of what I would never understand how she's able to do things on it, but fantastic. It's about 400 quid now on Amazon UK. But I think if you want to have, do you know where I was thinking for myself? If I was back at sales, or if I was back being a student or something like that, perfect for note taking. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can just imagine myself going into college or something like that, and then just doing all my notes on that, instead of having to drag a bloody laptop around with you everywhere.
Can I throw in an alternative?
Yes. Oh, yes, please. Because you do have some good alternative. I
do have an alternative. If that's what you want to be doing, using color, making notes, writing things to yourself in, longhand, basically. Kobo, which is kind of, I don't want to call it the anti-Amazon, but they are the main Amazon competitor. I think they're Canadian. There is the Kobo Libra Color, which does pretty much what you've described there in the Scribe. You can pick it up for €210 new.
Wow, that's half the price.
Have a look. That's all I'll say.
All right, check it out. I'm going to be really, really, really uber sad, but hopefully I'm with friends here talking about gaming and stuff like that. But you are generally our gaming expert. So when it comes to gaming, what are you going to be doing for Christmas?
Yeah, well, as life goes on, you get less expert when it comes to gaming, because you've got other demands on your time. But one game that I was really, really looking forward to playing, and then it got released and the reaction was awful, was Cyberpunk 2077. to bring me back to my tabletop RPG days. I was really looking forward to it, and it just flopped. But over time, there have been updates released that have actually turned it into a very, very good game indeed. So I was very happy to pick up a secondhand copy. Looking forward to getting stuck into it. I've got a couple of other games that I'll be getting stuck into over the Christmas, all that I got pre-loved. I think all of these together cost me like €50 or something like that for my Xbox One. So I picked up Cyberpunk, I picked up the first Dead Space, which I know was remastered, and Fallout 4. All pre-loved, all super cheap, all will pass the time over the Christmas period. So that's something I'm looking forward to get sticking into. Also, didn't put it on my list, but consider a retro console. I remember a couple of years ago, Nintendo released a version of the NES that was about the size of an Apple TV and had all the games preloaded. So if you're looking for some 8-bit action, see if you can pick one up. I think they only made one round of them, but I'm sure there's a load doing the rounds on secondary market.
I'm the opposite end on the gaming thing, because one of my things is Flight Simulator, which I enjoy. And now this is going to be one of these if I won the lottery purchases, all right? Because I'm amazed that they can even do this these days. One of the things that you really miss when you're on a simulator, and I mean the mad things that they have simulators. They've got a train simulator now. There's I think a bus driving or a lorry driving simulator and stuff like that. Anyway, flight sim is my thing, so I'm going to stick with that. But I have seen companies now that make flight seats. That's been around for quite a while, right? So it's a seat and you're able to put all of your peripherals and all that kind of stuff around you and whatever, and attach the screen to it. But now there's a company called Next Level Racing, and they have done a full motion base that you put underneath the whole thing, and in your own home, when you turn the aircraft to the left or the right, your seat will turn to the left or the right.
Oh, I don't even like that. I love it.
It's about $3,000.
Yeah.
But all things considered, it's kind of like, and the flight seat, I think, would be another $2,000 on top of that. And then if you were to really, I mean, in my head, I'm thinking if you were going to spend $10,000 on this, right, and just go all out on everything, you would have an amazing flight simulator in a spare room in your house for $10,000. That would be amazing. And that's why I say it's like, if I won the lottery, well, the first thing I'd do is I'd buy a house big enough to have a spare room. I'm very reliant on the lottery for this kind of thing. That's quite interesting. On the complete opposite end then, as we come to the end of the show for this week, stocking fillers.
Stocking fillers.
Cheap and cheerful, quickies. What have you got?
Cheerful. Yeah. Always worth a mention in case you don't have them already. Of course, Amazon Echo or Fire Stick, Google TV, Apple TV. You will comfortably get something like this on €40 to €50 on the secondary market. Less in some cases, depending on the generation that it is. I'm also going to throw in ring lights and phone stands, again, for the creator in your life. And you can spend as much as you want on those, really. I've been on Amazon and seen them start at like €30. So those are my sort of stocking fillers. Happy perennials. If a house doesn't have at least some of these, maybe you should pick one up. We have a Google Nest speaker. One thing that we will say about all the smart speakers, the sound off them is always really good. Now, I mean, they're harvesting your data to use against you in a dystopian future, but I mean, otherwise, why not?
I thought I was the conspiracy theorist amongst us. Funny enough, on my stocking filler side of things, if I was I get an Alexa Dot speaker because the sound is quite reasonable, and people just seem to be using them as radio these days. And even within the radio industry that I'm talking to people, they're saying, it's becoming a very significant slice of listening is being done online. So I would pick up one of the. I think I don't even know what they are. They're under 50 quid, maybe even 20. Do you know what else I find is very useful for stocking fitters is USB keys. Now we have USB keys, blah, 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 blah. But we're kind of halfway between USB-A, which is the bigger connector, and the USB-C, which is a smaller connector. And you can get USB keys now that have an A connector at one end and a C connector at the other. They're tiny.
Quite useful.
Right? So that's quite useful and cheap again. It's like a 10 or 15 quid or something like that. And then an Apple AirTag, or maybe pick up one of the tiles or something like that and just post something to somebody and follow it, because that's how empty my life is. I'm just fascinated how people go, I lost my suitcase and I know that it's in Singapore because I had an AirTag in it or whatever. I think that's fascinating. Like, you know, again, I would be just playing around with that. Listen, finally, to wrap up on our toy show, we've listed all of the things that we would like. Okay. There is just one thing at the end, is if you were a banned item. Something that should not be allowed to be bought for anybody under any circumstances as any kind of a Christmas gift. What's on your list?
Yeah. MagSafe anything. Anything to do with MagSafe.
Why?
Apple tried to convince us that having a magnet on the back of your phone would be revolutionary for sticking wallets on it, for charging faster, for doing all sorts. It hasn't happened. I mean, the technology might get there at some stage, but for the moment, you can quite happily live without a MagSafe accessory. Overpriced, nothing that can't be done in a more convenient way or in a more effective way. Just it's a dud technology for me at the moment. So nothing MagSafe for me, please.
Top of my banned list, and I had to say this to my wife. I said, "Don't you dare get me one of these for Christmas." An air fryer.
Do you know why? Do you know why you would be bought an air fryer?
Well, I like cooking, and
there you go. You would have to do the cooking all the time.
No, I do the cooking all the time. I enjoy it, so there's no problem. But just an air fryer just seems like a pile of pants. I've seen one or two people with them before, and it's just like, does nothing for me. It's just one of these fads. People are going, I love the cards that go around to go, 1 minute you're 20 and you're out snorting coke off hookers' backs. The next minute you're losing your shit over getting an air fryer for Christmas.
Life takes us strange places, doesn't
Life takes us, doesn't it just? Absolutely, like, you know. But no, I just, no. You can tell it's very much on my band list, can't you? There we go. Anyway, listen, Niall, it's been a pleasure talking about our toys that we would like for Christmas for this year. And let me be the first, perhaps, to wish you a very Merry Christmas.
And to you, Dusty.
This is Tech Radio with Dusty Rhodes and Niall Kitson.
That's it for our show this week. We're back again next Friday with another very special show for you. We're going to be taking you onto the floor of the AWS show in Las Vegas, where Amazon are showing the world all their latest toys. We'll have a load of great interviews from that event for you then. That's next Friday. Do check it out. Also remember to share our podcast with a friend. Do tell them to look up Tech Radio Ireland on Apple, Spotify or YouTube. Until next week, whether you're listening online or with RT Radio 1 Extra, from myself, Dusty Rhodes, and from Niall Kitson, have a great weekend.
Remember, you can get the latest Irish tech news with hourly updates, daily newsletters, and more at our website, techcentral.ie. Share the knowledge and invite a friend to listen. Search Apple, Spotify, or YouTube for Tech Radio Ireland, or listen with RTE Radio 1 Extra. Tech Radio is produced by dustpod.io for techcentral.ie. From me, Artemis, live long and prosper.